Fishman pickups, a clear pickguard, and an Iron Age LED kill switch. It's time to wire up the Alien Blood Stealth Frankenstrat project, and there are a couple new things I've been wanting to try on a guitar for quite some time. Today we're going to go ahead and implement them into this build. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified whenever a new video drops. This is part 3 of a Trash to Thrash mini-series.
For more than 20 years, I've been obsessed with guitars. From playing them, to working on them, to buying and collecting them, I've built quite the collection of awesome custom guitars. Now, I'm turning my passion into a profession by seeking out old, beat-up guitars and giving them new life, all while trying to make a profit. I'll be searching everywhere for used gear that I can refret, rewire, repaint, whatever it takes to make it a real shredder. This is Trash to Thrash.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Trash to Thrash. I'm your host Mark Murray, and this is part 3 of the Alien Blood Stealth Frankenstrat mini-series. This is a multi-part series where all week long I'm going to be posting new episodes daily until this guitar is complete. In episodes 1 and 2 I showed you Anthony's Strat clone and we started the rebuild. When Anthony originally reached out to me about this build, I was unsure how the stealth stripes and the alien blood splatter were going to look together. This is a crazy idea, but I like it. I had done stripes and splatter before and it worked out nicely, but this time we're kicking it up a level with a clear pickguard and a bunch of other cool details.
In part 1 of this series, we received the guitar in from my customer Anthony. Then with the help of my shop assistant Ryan, we got the guitar stripped down and sanded, we filled some holes in the body, and added the EVH stealth stripes. Then in part 2, we got the alien blood splatter on the guitar. I cleaned up the back of the headstock, I polished the frets, and I oiled the fretboard. We started assembling the guitar, and now it's ready for the electronics.
We're using a clear pickguard on this guitar, so the wiring needs to be immaculate because you'll be able to see it from the front of the guitar. Another thing is this guitar is going to have a 9-volt battery in it, so not only does it take up quite a bit of space inside the guitar, but I have to be able to make it look good since this guitar has the clear pickguard. We're also going to have to find a way to mount the battery securely. For the pickups on the guitar, we're going to go with a set of Fishman Classics. I've only done a few guitars with Fishman pickups, but they sound great every time. These are interesting pickups because they have multiple voices, meaning they give you completely different tones depending how you wire them up. I've already got the pickups mounted in the pickguard and the hole drilled out for the kill switch. Anthony wanted the kill switch in the control 1 position of the pickguard, which is where the volume normally would be on a Strat type guitar, but this is an old trick that's been around for a while, dating back to Eddie Van Halen, where you relocate the volume so it isn't quite so close to your hand when you play. The kill switch sits relatively low on the guitar compared to a volume knob, so the kill switch won't be in the way of your strumming hand like a knob would be.
Now, when you wire a pickguard, the first step is to drill out the holes necessary for the parts you're using. Then you can start mounting all your parts. It's much easier to add or enlarge holes when the pickguard is unpopulated. Right now, the kill switch hole has been added and the pickups are mounted. Now I'll add the potentiometers, or pots for short. We're using push-pull pots for this guitar. That means there's a switch attached to the back of the pot that's activated when you pull the knob up away from the body. This will allow us to control which voice of the pickup we'll be using, and the user can switch back and forth depending on what tone they want for a certain song or part of a song. Then I mounted the 3-way selector switch, so we'll have 3 options there: bridge, neck, or both. Since we're limited in space in the control cavity, I think we'll mount the battery in the middle pickup spot under the pickguard. I decided to drill a hole directly from the middle pickup cavity over to the control cavity instead of running the wires along with the pickup wires. I always like to keep my workspace clean, so I vacuumed up the mess right away. Those little shavings can scratch the guitar while you're working, especially if it gets between the guitar and your work surface. Since I don't have a ton of experience with Fishman pickups and with the multiple voicings, and there are some extra steps to the wiring, I pulled up the Fishman wiring diagram to guide me through this endeavor. Like I mentioned before, this clear pickguard is going to showcase the wiring in the inside of the guitar. To make this guitar look its best, I started routing the wires starting at the pickups, and I moved linearly from the pickups over to the control cavity. Most of the wires will be running in the same direction, so as I go, I use cable ties to secure everything and keep the wires looking neat. When you harness wires together, it's important the wires stay in the same configuration from the beginning to the end, meaning they won't be crossing back and forth over each other. It's much more pleasing to the eye when the wires run perfectly parallel with each other, keeping them in nice straight lines. If wires accidentally get crossed, then you can cut off a cable tie and just replace it. I think of the cable ties as a tool to help you temporarily hold things together as you work, You can expect to cut them off a few times and put on a new one as you need, to add a wire or remove a wire from the harness. Wiring a guitar is tedious to many, but there's an art form to it, and if you have patience, it can be very satisfying to do. As I mentioned before, I'm wiring it linearly, so as the harness approaches a component like a potentiometer or the selector switch, whatever wire goes to that component exits the harness and wires up as needed, and any new wires from that component will join the harness and keep moving along with it, like passengers on a train. At each stop, there will be some wires leaving the train and new passengers will jump on, but the train keeps moving toward its final destination, which in this case will be the output jack.
Since push-pull pots have a switch mounted to the back side of them, they take up a bit more space in the control cavity, so I need to make sure that the harness will be moving in a path around the pots. They can't go under the pots because these pots are too tall.
When I set the pickguard into place, I can see it isn't sitting down correctly on the guitar. I discovered the selector switch was bumping into the body inside the guitar. The easiest solution is to get the Dremel out and remove a little bit of the wood where they're making contact. After another test fit, it's looking good. Then I touched up the inside of the guitar with some flat black paint on a small brush. This is a rechargeable 9-volt battery. I've never used one of these in a guitar, but I've always wanted to try it out. I reached out to my customer Anthony, and he agreed that this could make for a really cool feature. You can buy them on Amazon, they're $15 for two, and they come with a charger and a case. I'll leave a link to them in the description below, along with a lot of other parts, supplies, and tools that I used in this build.
With the rechargeable batteries, I can send the customer 2 batteries, so when the first battery starts to die, they can have the second battery charged up on standby, and when it's time for a string change and some cleaning or maintenance, they can pop the pickguard off and just switch the batteries, instead of removing the battery, waiting for it to recharge, and then reinstalling it. And that can be annoying to have to wait for it to recharge while your guitar is taken apart. Now they can simply swap the battery and go recharge the first battery to have it on hand for the next time they have to do a battery swap. The batteries come with a case, so you could return the recharged battery to the case and store it in your guitar case until you need to use it.
The battery fits nicely in the middle pickup cavity. In the wiring harness, I left a couple extra wires that will attach from the battery wires to the output jack. These wires here will connect to the battery positive and negative terminals, and these will attach to the output jack, which will act as a switch to disconnect the battery when the guitar is unplugged to save battery life.
Now everything looks pretty good, but at this point I was still trying to figure out the best way to make this pickguard detachable. Normally when you wire a pickguard, it's hardwired to the guitar. You can't just fully remove it. But I wanted to come up with a way to make the pickguard unplug from the guitar so you can easily disconnect it and set it aside if needed. Do you guys like my shirt? It's the first official Trash to Thrash merch, and it's available now at GuitarGuts.com. Link is in the description below. I have a few different t-shirt designs up now, including this Trash to Thrash shirt, the Time to Shred shirt, and Sunday Morning Shred shirts. Plus, if you have a little one like I do, I got baby onesies. When I first had my boy, I was looking all over for cool guitar-related baby clothes, and there weren't a lot of good options. Well, these are designs I came up with and made, and now your little rock star can represent some cool guitar outfits. I have more t-shirt designs and baby stuff coming, so keep an eye out for all that. They make great gifts too, so for all you aunts and uncles and friends of new parents, go grab some gear for the newest member of your life. I appreciate you all watching. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this project are so far, and be sure to hit the like button on this video, and hit the bell to be notified every time a new video drops here on the channel. If you missed episodes 1 or 2, those are linked down in the description below. I'll see you guys right back here tomorrow. Rock on, my friends.